Hello everybody and welcome back. So today I wanted to talk an important element of the cottage garden. So cottage gardens are meant to be beautiful, bursting with a variety of plants. And we mostly think of that in the form of perennials and annuals. However, shrubs are such a massively important component to the cottage garden. So today we're going to talk about the structure of these plants and them interplanted with these beautiful perennials and annuals, and kind of the tension that they create between the chaos of the beauty of the wildflower garden. They kind of are the element of control to the chaos. So for me, they provide that beautiful tension. And I would be amiss if I didn't talk about, first and foremost, probably my favorite element of the cottage garden that I have so many on the property. And I think this plant is the most versatile, most cottage garden perennial around, hands down my favorite. That's the boxwood. Let's go take a look. The boxwood. Here we have a skylight better boxwood, and I haven't had any disease on my boxwoods, but just because of the risk that provides, boxwoods take a lot of time to grow. They're an investment piece in your garden, and they're usually not super cheap. So when you buy a boxwood, I would like that little bit of peace of mind that they're going to be resistant no matter what comes our way eventually in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line. So these are beautiful. The skylight is probably my favorite of the better boxwood series because it naturally grows into a taller, more conical shape. And I love conical skylights. We have a lot of Korean hybrids. I don't do a lot of the natural, like more traditional English boxwood, and that's because those are the most prone to blight and boxwood moth and all of that stuff. And those are the slowest growing. So the Korean alternatives, like Winter Gem, is one of my favorites that I use around here, and that's probably the most prolific in my garden. But those actually grow quite tall, to 7 to 8 feet tall. They take excellently to pruning. They are so incredibly versatile. Here I have this skylight better boxwood. I have not planted it out yet. It has been here in this pot, sitting at 100 degrees in the heat, in the sun, and no scorching. It just looks beautiful. There's not a lot of plants that genuinely hold up like that. So I've kind of let this go wild. I haven't clipped it at all. It really does grow such a beautiful dense mound, and I just love the glossy greenery of the leaves, and I love it has a lighter green as it's growing in. So this one is excellent for woodland gardens. So they do not actually establish very deep roots. Their roots are very shallow and on the surface. However, they are so heat resistant. They are so sun resistant. They do just as well in the heat, in the full heat, full sun locations in my front garden as they do in my back woodland garden. And here in the back woodland garden, I actually keep them a lot more loose. I want them to have a more naturalistic look. In the front garden, I have them nice and clipped. The only caveat that I would say to clipping them is just the sun scorch. So I would just be careful of not clipping them or trimming them down when it's very hot and when they're in a full sun location, because they are going to sunburn. However, I could come out here and do my lovely shaded boxwoods, and that would be fine. But say you're clipping down these in full sun locations, first of all, you are now exposing leaves that are not used to that full sun and haven't been hardened off, and now they're exposed and they are going to experience the scorch. So I would just avoid hot sunny days, hot sunny periods of time. If you are going to clip your boxwoods, I would say if you were going to have like a week of rain or a week of overcast in the middle of your hot sunny summer, then go ahead and do that. But otherwise, just wait till it's a little bit cooler and the sun isn't quite so harsh. But these are just an absolute staple in the cottage garden because of their versatility. They are wonderful planted under trees because they don't grow very deep roots, and they are so resistant to drought. They really don't need very much water. So when it comes to competition with tree roots around them, they really do excellently underplanted amongst trees in full shade, and they also do just as wonderfully in hot, full sun locations. Okay, our next one that we're going to talk about is roses. So roses are so important. No cottage garden would be complete without the roses. These are some earth angel roses, and they are just so beautiful. They're putting out their second flush of the year, and there are so many different kinds of roses that you can choose from. There are lovely David Austin varieties. You can go on to Heritage Roses. That's a wonderful website that has a lot of David Austin varieties and a lot of other varieties, as well as just your local garden centers. Roses are so heat resistant. They are so tough. They are literally tough as nails. One example of like such a hardy, beautiful, hard-working rose is the iceberg rose. And I know a lot of people think of them as just such basic. They're like the parking lot plant. A lot of places use them. A lot of companies, businesses use them in their plantings because they're easy. They are so easy. They need such little care. And as soon as you cut them back, they flush back. They are the most prolific, regular blooming. As soon as the cold and the frost is over, they are back to blooming, and they bloom their little heads off, and you just come and take off the old blooms, and they just keep pumping it out. They need such little care. So this iceberg is in a tree form, so it creates such a beautiful element of height in the cottage garden and structure. And this earth angel is a lovely shrub rose that provides such good structure and such good background foliage in the cottage garden. But there are so many and so many varieties, so these are definitely such an important element in the cottage garden, and you really can't go wrong with whatever you select. They come in so many different colors. I mean, the color range on roses and the breeding that has gone into developing so many different petal forms. They literally look like peony flowers that just bloom all year round and continue to put out flushes. Really, it's hard to find a rose. I mean, there's a rose for everybody. And our next one is the hydrangea. So hydrangeas are so beautiful. They provide such wonderful stature in the garden. Even before they even put out their first bloom, their beautiful leafy presence is such a beautiful foil for your cottage garden and for your cottage plantings. They come in so many different shapes and forms. You can have panicle. These are firelight tidbits, so they grow to be 2 to 3 feet tall by 2 to 3 feet wide. We bought these as little quarts and planted them early in the spring this year, and they are already blooming. I know they're small. This is their first year, and they are doing incredible for their first year. And then as we come over here, we have some beautiful, we have so many different varieties of, this is an incredible hydrangea, and it comes out a beautiful vibrant white, and it fades to a beautiful leafy green. We have beautiful white wedding hydrangeas that are also a beautiful panicle hydrangea. We have the phantom hydrangeas that are just right behind me here that are just so beautiful, and they fade to like a beautiful blushy burgundy pink later on in the season. So there are so many different hydrangeas that take on different colors and different forms, and you just can't go wrong with hydrangeas. And I actually find that they are beautiful in a woodland setting. They are beautiful planted amongst the trees. They are wonderful in dappled lighting. This phantom hydrangea here, I also have it out front in a full sun location, and it's even bigger, and the blooms are even larger, and it is doing just amazingly. So there are so many different hydrangeas. I feel like that could be an episode all on its own. It's just about the different kinds of hydrangeas, how you use them, how you take care of them, and learning where to push them to further sun or further in the shade. But your panicles are really great in hot environments, and they take more sun typically than your rounded arborescens incredibles or your big leaf macrophylla hydrangeas. And the next shrub that we're going to be talking about is probably controversial. I think a lot of people don't like this one, but I don't really understand why. I think that they are absolutely beautiful, and come with me and I'll show you why. So the next one, this is the orange rocket barberry, and I just think that she is so beautiful. She provides such a ruby crimson color. I feel like she's not orange at all. There's no time of year that she actually grows orange in our garden, and she is a little sharp, so I would put her in a place that you don't walk or cross by, but she gets to be 3 to 5 feet tall by 2 to 3 feet wide. You can shape her, you can ball form her, you can let her just grow natural, which is what I like to do. And she just mingles so well with the perennials. Here I have her planted with a Triloba rudbeckia and some Amistad salvia, and she just makes these plants and the yellows pop around her, and she is just such a beautiful source of like burgundy in the garden. And I feel like reds are so important for foliage and for backdrop in the cottage garden, as well, just as important as your chartreuses and your deep greens. It's so important to provide such a variety of different colors and different leaf forms and different shapes, and she just provides such beauty, such a beautiful pop of that deep color that I feel like is so important in the cottage garden, and she just makes everything around her pop. I have several of her in the cottage garden, and I just feel like she really pulls her weight. Another of my favorite shrubs, and it is because they are so beautiful. They pretty much fill the space of a boxwood topiary, except they are a lot less pricey, and that is because they are just not cold hardy. They are not cold hardy at all. So if you live in colder regions, colder than a zone 9, and experience periods of frost, I would say have them planted in a pot and take them in, or put them in a greenhouse, or just basically take them in, or you could just cover them for the season to protect them from that frost. But they grow densely, they grow quickly, they love the heat, they love the full sun, they take excellently to shaping, to clipping. This started out, I want to say, a triple ball topiary, and now it's kind of, I actually think that it would be cute to kind of make it an elevated, maybe rounded conical form. But I haven't been out and trimming on this as often as I should, because the heat has been brutal and I have not wanted to do it. So, but even still, even with my neglect, she is still so beautiful. She is like a compact, sweet little tree for the garden, and it provides like a little bit of shade and a little bit of protection for everything around her. And so she would do absolutely wonderfully if she was planted in a pot and moved around, which is also an option to do for your gardens. But the Eugenia topiary, I have some smaller versions of them that I have in small pots that I keep on my outdoor patio table that I just think looks absolutely beautiful. So they can be small, double, triple ball topiaries. They can be larger lollipops in the garden. They are just absolutely beautiful and super disease resistant, and really do fill that hole with the dense foliage, the dense growth, the fact that they take so well to pruning, and the fact that they are just lovers of heat and lovers of sun. The next shrub that I want to talk about that I feel like is so important and really brings in the pollinators, and that is the butterfly shrubs. And this specifically is a butterfly candy. It is bred to have shorter leaf nodes between the stems. And so it is naturally a more tighter, compact shrub than your typical butterfly bushes. However, I do have several kinds of butterfly bushes in our garden, but I really do love I think this is little raspberry. And if you come out and deadhead, they will reflush, they will rebloom. I have some fresh blooms right here, but they have such a beautiful silvery green foliage. They actually are made to be, so you can cut them back. They can grow very tall, very wide if you let them. However, I like to keep them shorter. This is their first growing season. So just like the orange rocket barberry, that's the first growing season. So she's a little small, but she's doing great. I also just this spring planted up this garden bed. So this garden bed is all new perennials, and this first season she is really doing beautifully. The butterflies absolutely love her, and the hummingbirds. So I highly recommend the butterfly bush, and specifically the butterfly candies are my new favorite of that group. The next beauty that I want to talk about is the pittosporum, and this specifically is a beach ball pittosporum, and I really hardly ever come out and prune on this. In fact, I haven't in the last year or two. So it naturally takes on this denser, beautiful, rounded, like pretty much perfectly rounded shape, and I may come out and clean it up a little bit, but I've had fun just watching, seeing what it will do on its own without me, intervening. And it has lots of tiny little growths, and the growths are so sweet and so dense on these new little stems and areas. They naturally have darker stems on them, which I think is just beautiful. I'm going to look up the cold hardiness for you. These are meant to get to be 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. These are a full sun location. They have had more scorch on them this year than previous years, but these are pretty well established at this point. They get very little scorch on them. They actually really do great in the shade, like the boxwood. They're a wonderful boxwood alternative because obviously they have the shape of the boxwood, and you can topiary them. You can do beautiful balls with them. You can conical them. You can shape them into whatever shape you would want to. I would just say the same warning that I would with the boxwoods is not to do it in on your hot sunny days or your periods of hot sunny temperatures, because the underneath that's now being exposed will get sun scorch on it. But these are absolutely beautiful. I love the shape and the structure, and they're very low maintenance. Like, shrubs are such little work, especially these guys. And like I said, they're so versatile. This is a full sun location. They're typically meant to be part shade, but I have pushed these, and it's probably because they're so well established and their roots are so down and they have good access to water, and because of the density, their roots are so very shaded, they keep their roots very cool themselves. So I think that that's why I've managed to push them further into sun. I also have many of them in the woodland garden, and they are just beautiful. And the benefits of using these as an alternative to boxwood would be, not having to deal with the boxwood moth, the blight, the disease. I've never had any bugs or diseases or issues on these pittosporums. So I just absolutely love them. I love the color. I love the density. They are just one of my absolute favorites. Now, I would be amiss if I didn't add the sunshine ligustrum to my list. And I have so many of these sunshine ligustrums, and they are just so beautiful. They bring the underplanting where they get less direct sun, but still some direct sun. They are a beautiful chartreuse in our environment and our climate. They get to be a nice yellow form as well, which I think is just so beautiful on the garden. These are a sterile cultivar. They do not flower. They do not spread. They are just beautiful. You can shape them. I've kind of let this one grow out. I'm not going to touch it or trim it in this heat, in this sun. But it is just so beautiful. I love the sunshine ligustrum. I have this in my sunny border. I have started putting it in the woodland border. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you've heard me rave about my favorite piece of the woodland garden, which is my sunshine ligustrum up there. But this is beautiful. It gets 3 to 6 feet tall and wide. You can clip it into ball form. You can keep it small. You can topiary this. It has beautiful dense leaves. If you keep cutting on it, you can get some nice density on it. It provides such a beautiful soft backdrop to the garden, to all the beautiful whimsical nicotianas and zinnia buds and just anything else that you plant around it. It is just such a beautiful backdrop, such a beautiful foliage to add to any garden, and I think that they are just so versatile and so beautiful. So these are one of my absolute favorites, and I highly recommend, if you guys haven't tried sunshine ligustrum, I think give it a try. I think you will definitely be impressed with it. I know that there are so many more shrubs that I can go into, as well as the varieties in each of those shrubs that I talked about. However, I think that that's enough to get you guys started. I'm just sharing the ones with you that I personally grow and have had good experience with and have had a few seasons with. I think that's a wonderful start to a well-rounded, beautiful, lush cottage garden. So as always, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you join me next time.